All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're exploring one of the greatest wonders ever imagined. A structure that's not just an incredible feat of engineering, but something born from ancient myth and maybe even divine intervention. We are talking about the Great Iron Wall.
So the whole story starts with this incredible legend. You've got this great, divinely guided ruler, Dhul-Qarnayn, and a desperate people begging him for protection from these chaotic, destructive forces known as Gog and Magog. And his solution? It wasn't just a wall of stone and mortar. No, he forged a miraculous barrier out of iron and molten copper. It was basically a divine act of mercy made real, and it secured the future of the entire land.
So, fast forward to today. What is this wall? Well, it's the literal and symbolic backbone of the entire Sultanate, perfectly anchored between the Taurus and Zagros mountains. You have to understand, it's not just a border, it's the very reason this civilization can even exist and thrive in the first place. And if you were to see it, wow, it's a sight you'd never forget. By day, it just glitters, almost blindingly, like freshly cast steel. And if you touch it, it's always warm. You can feel the scorching magma flowing deep inside its core. But the real magic happens at night. It doesn't just fade into the darkness. Instead, all these countless gemstones embedded in its surface start to glow, lighting up the night with this breathtaking, cosmic light. Now, for centuries, literally centuries, the enemies of the Sultanate, the so-called heretics, have thrown everything they have at this thing. We're talking constant artillery fire, absolutely terrifying weapons, year after year, siege after siege. You'd expect to see some wear and tear, right? Some scars? Well, there are none. Not a single scratch. Its surface remains impossibly perfect, totally untarnished. This isn't just a case of good construction. This is something else entirely. It just defies all the known rules of warfare and time. So how does it do it? Well, its true power is this kind of supernatural defense. On the super rare occasion that a weapon actually manages to crack the surface, the wall heals itself, that magma core we mentioned just pours out, instantly incinerating any attackers nearby, and then it cools just as fast, sealing the breach like it was never there. It's basically a living, active defense system. But the wall itself, incredible as it is really only part of the story. You see, the Sultanate didn't just sit back and rely on its magic. No, they built upon it. They added their own mortal layer of defense right on top of this divine foundation. And this really gets to the heart of the Sultanate's entire defense philosophy. On one hand, you've got the Iron Wall. It's divine, it's eternal, it heals itself. And then you have the towers built by the sultans. They're impressive, for sure, but they're man-made. They're fragile, they're vulnerable, and they're constantly being repaired from all the heretic attacks. It's this powerful symbol of mortals leaning on the divine for their very survival. So what are these towers for? Well, they've got a couple of jobs. Militarily, they're absolutely crucial. They serve as platforms for the Sultanate's own big guns. They're long-range artillery, and they act as lookout posts. But they're also minarets. Their spires are used to call the faithful to prayer 5 times a day. It's this incredible blend of the machinery of war and the deep devotion of faith. Of course, any wall, no matter how magical, is only as strong as its weakest point, and that's always the gates. The Sultanate knows this, and the guardians they've created to protect these gateways are every bit as legendary as the wall itself. At each of the 4 great gates, there stand 2 colossal guardians. And these aren't men, and they're not machines. They're what's known as tacvin, living, breathing beings, forged through the secret and forbidden arts of alchemy. They're modeled after the legendary Barak, the winged creature that carried the prophet on his night journey. And they are just immense. They have wings that can blot out the sun, eyes that are sharper than any hawk's, and claws so powerful they can tear a heretic tank in half like it's made of paper. They're the Sultanate's ultimate biological weapon. So you look at these things, and their physical power is just undeniable. I mean, they could probably repel an entire army all by themselves. But is that really why they're there? Is just being a giant monster their most important quality? Nope. Their true power, their primary function, is their mind, their incredible intellect. They test every single traveler who wants to enter the Sultanate with these subtle, deeply wise questions and riddles that are designed to expose spies and infiltrators. Their minds are a filter that's way more effective than any physical barrier could ever be. But this incredible intelligence comes at a really terrible cost.
This quote reveals the tragedy at the heart of their existence. The tacvin know, with absolute certainty, that they are artificial beings. They were made by man, not created by God, and so they live with this constant existential horror, believing they have no soul and can never, ever achieve salvation.
And that's why they're created in pairs. It's not just for military might, it's for companionship. When the gates are quiet, you can supposedly hear their low, rumbling voices echoing across the wall as they try to comfort each other, debating the 99 names of Allah or reciting poetry just to ease the pain of being what they are.
The wall's influence goes way beyond just defense, It actually shapes the environment of the Sultanate. But all this power and the incredible guardians who protect it comes at an almost unimaginable price.
Okay, now get this. Deep inside the wall, there are these wondrous machines that do more than just pump magma. They actually regulate the weather, controlling the rain for all the lands inside. They also create these incredibly high winds along the top of the wall, forming an aerial shield that makes it almost impossible for heretic bombers or spy planes to fly in the Sultanate's airspace. But the cost of all this protection, it's just staggering. To create just one of these tacvin guardians takes 7 years. 7 years of work by the best alchemists in the entire land. And the financial cost? It's equal to the entire yearly income of a whole province. And yet, we're told, it's a price the Sultan is more than happy to pay.
So when you boil it all down, the Great Iron Wall isn't just a part of the Sultanate. For all intents and purposes, it is the Sultanate. It protects it, it defines it, it gives it purpose. Every single piece of this civilization, from their faith to their security, is built on this one single miraculous foundation.
Which kind of leaves us with one last thought to chew on. The wall offers what seems like perfect, absolute security from the outside world. But what does that kind of permanent, flawless isolation actually do to a people over generations? What's the true hidden cost of living behind a barrier that can never, ever fall?